Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on this Wednesday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, sports, and so much more. I am Glenora Shipura. Getting into the news tonight, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Economics and Public Administration has called for the restructuring of the veterinary cordon fence, commonly referred to as the Red Line, to allow farmers from beyond to transport animals and meat products to markets south of the Red Line when there are no foot and mouth disease outbreaks. Once the National Assembly accepts with or without amendments recommendations from a standing committee, the entity or agriculture minister must comply with these within a period of 3 months. The first finding of the committee was that the Red Line was designed to favor a minority group. At the expense of the committee investigated the devastating consequences and limitations of the Red Line on farmers of the north and northeastern parts of the country following a petition by the Lisha Empowerment and Development Organization calling for the revival of livestock markets for northern communal farmers. Currently, mandatory quarantine procedures and the lack of adequate quarantine facilities place an undue burden on farmers, hindering their access to market and impacting their livelihoods. Therefore, the non-break times cattle should be allowed to move freely, provided that basic health certifications or recent veterinary checks are obtained, coupled with a robust traceability system and temporary health checkpoints along key routes to monitor any signs of FMD, as it is done on the south of the cordon fence, the committee recommended. In their report, the committee, following visits to the affected regions, also called on the government to negotiate with their Zambian counterparts to open up its borders for cattle trading with Namibian farmers in that region. They also highlighted in their findings that there are over 2.5 million cattle above the Red Line, while in the southern parts of the fence there are 1.3 million cattle. And since the export of cattle from the above the Red Line is restricted, a physical border movement should be established. An alternative would be to consider the zoning of the northern communal areas into disease-free compartments. In our next story, in the wake of relentless rainfall that recently left roads flooded, storm water drains blocked, and potholes widespread across the town, the Swakopmund municipality earned praise for its rapid response. As soon as the downpour subsided, municipal workers were deployed, even working through the night, to repair damaged roads, remove debris, and restore order to affected areas. We are committed to returning the streets of our beautiful town to their former glory, said Municipal Public Relations Officer Linda Mupupa this week. In addition to road repairs, the municipality reported that its team had been clearing blocked drains, sweeping streets, blading gravel roads, compacting services, and inspecting the sewerage infrastructure for storm-related damage. In a similar light, the city of Windhoek has announced a major street releasing project that commenced on the 6th of March and is expected to continue until the end of August. The scheduled roadworks will involve street milling, asphalt overlay, and a preparatory work on various roads and intersections across the city. The project has been necessitated by recent rains and subsequent flooding that have severely affected road infrastructure in Windhoek. Authorities underlined that urgent repairs are needed to restore road surfaces and ensure safe travel for motorists and pedestrians. The city called on all road users to exercise caution and adhere to traffic signage, speed restrictions, and barricade around construction areas. Motorists are also encouraged to use alternative routes where possible to minimize delays and disruptions. Veiko Nekundi, Works Minister, has urged commuters between Rehoboth and Windhoek to be patient with the renovation to the Aris Bridge. He earlier told Parliament that it will take 7 months to upgrade the roadway to a dual carriageway. Let's have a look.
For citizens and road users, the Ministry of Works and Transport acknowledges the concerns raised by the Rehoboth commuters regarding the newly constructed one-way bypass road following the damage to the Windhoek Rehoboth Bridge caused by the recent heavy rains. I equally wish to make particular reference to the article published in the Namibian newspaper of today titled Rehoboth Residents Not Happy with the Newly Built Bypass. We recognize the inconvenience that this has caused and appreciate the patience of the affected residents as we work towards a permanent solution. We assure the public that the government, through the Ministry of Works and Transport and in collaboration with the Road Authority, is committed to address these challenges, problems, and efficiently. The construction of the 350-meter long one-way bypass was an emergency measure aimed at ensuring continued connectivity and access for road users in the wake of the bridge damage. However, we acknowledge that the one-way bypass has led to increased travel time, congestion, and safety concerns. In response, we are pleased to inform the public, our dear public, that the Road Authority is currently engaged in the construction of a permanent two-way bypass. That means what we are now constructing is temporary one, we are now upgrading it to 2 lanes, and it will also be permanent. Even if the main bridge will be reconstructed, that one will still remain intact. Further to address concerns regarding dust and road conditions on the temporary bypass, the Road Authority has implemented regular road maintenance measures, including wetting the road surface to reduce dust and enhance driving conditions. This will ensure a safe.
The long-anticipated NTV Awards will take place tomorrow, the 27th of March, at the National Theatre in Windhoek. In a tribute to Nuyoma's legacy and new accolade, the Sam Nujoma Media Custodian Award has been introduced. Ashwin Berry, creative director of the 2025 NTV Awards, described the award as a recognition of an individual who has demonstrated unwavering dedication to Namibia's media landscape. Named after Dr. Sam Nujoma, the country's founding president, the award honors a committed figure whose work has significantly shaped and preserved the media industry. Berry said the recipient must have a proven track record of contributing to the sustainability, integrity, and advancement of media as a vital institution. The award, which includes a prestigious trophy, will be presented at the Network Television Awards ceremony at the National Theatre of Namibia and will be broadcast live on NTV at 7 p.m. The NTV Awards, a premier event celebrating excellence in Namibian television, was originally scheduled for February but was postponed out of respect when the late statesman Nujoma, who led Namibia to independence and served as its first president, passed away on February 8th. That concludes our top stories. On the other side of the break, we take a look at our story of the day. Getting into our story of the day, the Central Procurement Board of Namibia today launched the Public and Bidder Education Initiative designed to clarify procurement processes and restore transparency. CPBN also issued a warning against practices such as multiple company ownership and shared representative among bidders. The campaign aims to clarify procurement processes and rebuild public trust to address fairness and transparency in all dealings. Speaking at the Public and Bidders Education campaign this morning, Board Chairperson Mary Shimi urged the need for efficiency and open communication to foster a smoother process. Have a look.
A call from bidders, the public entities, and the public that we serve a call to be efficient, a call to listen, and a call to educate the public, and a call to create awareness. And most important, to be fair and transparent in all our business dealings. That is the call that I'm hearing every day. Whether with the play that we did now, the calls that come through, it's a call to be efficient. It is this call we have greatly and passionately responded upon to launch this campaign. There's been significant level of unhappiness, discontent from bidders, and our clients that we serve. They are not happy because they are striving to serve the nation, and we are stuck in the processes of procurement. The outcomes have been not so favorable, not in everything, but sometimes in some of those services that are so direly needed by the public that we serve. So embark on this journey to clarify the procurement process, to open doors that have been perceived as closed, to build bridges where there have been gaps, and to listen, and to take what you're saying to us into consideration. As a board, we are entrusted.
We now take a look at our economic news. Getting into our economic news, UN Tourism has presented its tourism doing business guidelines, focus on the opportunities for international investors in Namibia's burgeoning tourism sector. Tourism doing business investing in Namibia aims to attract potential investors and provides essential insights into the vibrant opportunities within Namibia's tourism sector. The guidelines showcase Namibia's unique cultural heritage, robust economy, and supportive business environment, highlighting areas of potential significant growth in the years ahead. Namibia, known for its breathtaking landscapes and rich cultural heritage, is poised for significant growth in the tourism investment. UN Tourism said, with its unique position as a gateway into Southern Africa, Namibia offers a diverse array of attractions, from the iconic dunes of Sossusvlei to the remarkable wildlife of Etosha National Park. According to the guidelines, Namibia has demonstrated steady economic growth and stability. In 2024, the country recorded GDP growth of 3.1%, which is projected to rise to 4.2% in 2025. The country is also growing as a tourism destination. Namibia welcomed international visitors in 2023, an 87.4% increase on 2022. The tourism sector contributed 6.9% to GDP, generating $348 million in international tourism receipts in 2023. UN Tourism Secretary General Zurab Polikashvili said Namibia's diverse investment opportunities and its dedication to sustainable growth makes it an interesting destination for global investment. The country's efforts in energy transition and tourism expansion reflects its commitment to innovation and inclusivity. The investment guidelines were officially launched as part of a visit by the UN tourism leadership to Namibia last week. In another economic news update, the prospect of resurrecting Air Namibia is generating cautious optimism as stakeholders look to the upcoming fiscal budget for clues on its feasibility. This comes of recent comments by newly appointed Transport Minister Veiko Nekundi that the government may consider reviving the airline, which was liquidated in 2021 following a $10 billion write-down by the government at the time. Further compounding its likely revival was whether the government would be happy to fund a business with thin profit margins. Airlines have very thin business margins, more so national airlines. The modeling should be what is the threshold on losses that you can absorb and what component of that loss are you going to be able to absorb through traveling tourists, Hayes said. The budget should shed more light in terms of what the thinking is and whether we can afford the funding model for an airline. He added, University of Namibia academic Omo Kakuyaha Matunda said Namibia's revival would be welcome on the basis of whether it can demonstrate a good business case. According to him, should it be shown that the benefits with a revived Air Namibia outweigh the cost of operating without it, then it can be given a go-ahead or be revived. The revival of Air Namibia calls for a comprehensive financial and economic appraisal. Let's set aside emotions and let the revival of Air Namibia, just like any other national project, be strictly determined on firm business principles. There should be little room for error this time around. Economic Association of Namibia Executive Director Cons Karamata echoed Kakuyaha Matunda's sentiments around the airline being run on sound business principles and said it can help stimulate the tourism sector. Let's take a look at our financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.64, against the euro at 19.71, against the US dollar at 18.26, against the Chinese yuan at $2.52, which will give you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold and platinum went down, while copper and Brent crude oil went up. Brent crude oil trading at 0.96%, going for $73.76 per barrel. We now take a look at our international news. Getting into our international news, a top Sudanese army official greeted troops in the Republican Palace on Tuesday after the military gained control of the palace from a paramilitary group. Assistant Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Assa al-Attah, inspected forces at the palace and updated them on the current fighting. On Friday, the military retook the Republican Palace, the pre-war seat of the government, in a major symbolic victory for the Sudanese military in its nearly 2 years of war against the Rapid Support Forces. This week, Sudan's military consolidated its grip on the capital, retaking more key government buildings. Brigadier General Nabil Abdullah, a spokesperson for the Sudanese military, said troops expelled the RSF from the headquarters of the National Intelligence Service and Corinthia Hotel in central Khartoum. The army also retook the headquarters of the Central Bank of Sudan and other government and educational buildings in the area. Abdullah said, Sudan, a nation in northeastern Africa, has been unstable since a popular uprising forced the removal of longtime autocratic President Omar al-Bashir in 2019. A short-lived transition to democracy was derailed when Sudanese Army Chief General Abdel Fattah Burhan and General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, who leads the RSF fighters, led a military coup in 2021. The RSF and Sudan's military began fighting each other in 2023. Since the start of the year, Burhan's forces, including Sudan's military and allied militias, have advanced against the RSF. They retook a key refinery north of Khartoum, pushed in on RSF positions around Khartoum itself. The fighting has led to an increase in civilian casualties. In another update on the international front, South Korean government committed numerous human rights violations over decades in a controversial program that sent at least 170,000 children and babies abroad for adoption, a landmark inquiry has found. It said the government's lack of oversight enabled the mass exportation of children by private agencies. that were driven by profit and found examples of fraud, falsified records, and coercion. Since the 1950s, South Korea has sent more children abroad for adoption than any other country, with most sent to Western countries. South Korea has since moved to tighten its adoption process, but some adoptees and their biological parents say they are still haunted by what they went through. The BBC spoke to one woman who claimed her adoptive parents took better care of the dog than they ever did of her. The report was revealed earlier today by the Independent Truth and Reconciliation Commission following an investigation that began in 2022. Since then, 367 adoptees, all of which were sent overseas between 1964 and 1999, had filed petitions alleging fraudulent practices in their adoption process. That concludes our international news. Let's take a look at the weather predictions for tomorrow. The capital city can expect a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 28 degrees Celsius with showers. Katima Mulilo can expect partly cloudy conditions with a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius. Hentis Bay can expect sunny weather with a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 21 degrees Celsius, while Rehoboth can expect some showers with a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 28 degrees Celsius. We'll now take a look at this world of sports, courtesy of SportsWrap.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first. It is World Cup qualifying games for the Soccer World Cup in 2026 that continued. South Africa with a good result. They beat Benin by 2-0, and that means that they lead now their group with 13 points after 6 games, followed by Benin and Rwanda with 8 points after 6 games. Also Nigeria didn't have a good game against Zimbabwe. It was a 1-1 draw. That game ended, so that was also good news for South Africa. Other results in Africa was Egypt with a good win against Sierra Leone. They won at home by 1-0. Then also Senegal beat Togo by 2-0 at home. And then Cameroon, they were too strong for Libya, beating them by 3-1. More soccer news is that Newcastle United forward, that is Alexander Isak, he continues with his good form playing for Sweden. They beat North Ireland, that was in Northern Ireland, that was in Stockholm by 5-1. And Newcastle currently 6th on the English Premier League list. They're just outside the top 4. They've got 47 points after 29 games and 2 points behind Chelsea, that's in 4th position on 49 points. So the next game for Newcastle will be next week on the 2nd of April when they play against Brentford. That will be at home against Brentford. On to tennis news, the Miami Open that continues in Florida, and it is round of 16 games in the men's side of the draw. Novak Djokovic, a good result for him, playing very good tennis at the moment. He beat Lorenzo Musetti, and he beat him comfortably by 6-2 and 6-2. He's the 4th seed in the tournament, and he will now play against Sebastian Korda. He's the 24th seed. That is after Sebastian Korda got the better of Gilles Monfils. The score there was in 3 sets, 6-4, 2-6 and 6-4. In the women's side of the draw, it is Aryna Sabalenka, the number 1 seed, that safely flew to the semi-final. She had a tough game against Qinwen Zheng. She is from China, and it was 6-2, 7-5 that Sabalenka won that game. She's now into the semi-final, and also into the semi-final, number 6 seed, Jasmine Paolini. She is from Italy, beating Magda Linette by 6-3 and 6-2. To close off today's international sports news, it is golf news. The first major on the men's calendar will start the 10th of April. The Masters being played at Augusta, and Live Golf Contingency, the Breakaway Live Golf League. There will be 12 players playing there, and 7 of them previous winners. Those 7 players, Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia, also John Rahm that won 2 years ago, Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson, and also Patrick Reed. And then South African Charles Schwartzel, also a previous winner, playing in the Masters this year. Other players from Live Golf that haven't won but did qualify is Brooks Koepka, also Cameron Smith, and then Bryson DeChambeau. That tournament starts on the 10th of April and will finish on the 14th of April at Augusta. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day. We talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
That was Ari Hochard with the sports news. And on that note, we have come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all the Animage platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, oneup2.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 every Monday to Thursday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am Glenora Shipura, and this has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.